Hello, good morning, hello, and welcome. This is Mr. B on Free Talk with Mr. B, and this is another episode of Adult Communication. You know, we have a lot to say to each other, and it's really, really neat to just have this conversation about how we communicate, why we communicate, and ways in which we communicate. And today's topic, which we had a few interesting ones already, today's topic is speak with your eyes. Um, and we have a guest on, Alicia. Who's your guest?
So today we welcome Fhil. So Fhil, welcome with us.
Thank you. I'm so excited when you mentioned about this. I said yes right away.
Right. Where are you, Phil? Actually, he's also in Philippines with Alicia.
Yep, I'm in the Philippines, but it's gonna be south of Manila. It's in Laguna.
Laguna. Okay,
Yep.
okay. And Alicia, you're in the Manila area, right?
I'm still in Manila. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And I'm calling in from Houston, Texas. And so sometimes I say, because I'm somewhere in the world, you know, some people, I remember back in the day we had where in the world is Carmen Sandiego. So you guys are probably too young to remember that. And so sometimes there's where in the world is Mr. B, and I try to keep that going. Thanks. So today's topic again is speak with your eyes. And as us adults communicate, we speak and we share language with a lot of things. And some things are cultural, and some things are just like, I don't know if you call it like a regional, some things are age related or whatever demographics. But what comes to mind, what comes to our mind, you think, when we say speak with our eyes?
Would you like to start, Phil?
Yeah, sure. Speak with your eyes. I believe like our eyes are the window of our soul. You know, it reflects our emotions, even our fears. And sometimes when we are unable to express our feelings, our thoughts through words, our eyes do it for you. Your eyes do it for us. So it's like eye contact, our eyes speaks for us.
Yeah. I totally agree. And when we mentioned also the nonverbal communication and how the body language is a huge hint on what someone is thinking, I think eyes has a huge part in that.
Right. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be social, it could be spiritual, it could be just a human connection. But a lot of people say we see what you're saying, or you're saying it with your eyes. I mean, I remember one person who met me told me they can see into my eyes and that I was hurting or in pain. I was like, wow, how did they know? Of course, it's a general statement, but it's one of those things that, yes, you know, maybe I'm showing it in my eyes. Maybe I'm showing fatigue. Maybe I'm showing sorrow. Maybe I'm showing deep seated pain, but I didn't know I was showing it, but they mentioned it. Do you think people can see a lot about what you're feeling or what you're going through just by looking at your eyes?
Yep, I really believe so, because no matter what age we grow, we can still tell how people feel based on their eyes. Sometimes their words, they just said, "Okay, I'm fine," but when you look through their eyes, because our eyes again is a window of our soul, we can really tell how they feel, if they're scared, if they're hurting, if they're like truly happy, we can tell it by just looking to their eyes. So I really believe that.
Right.
Yes, actually, it reminds me of, the previous topic about how would we know, and how sometimes there is miscommunication of someone trying to say something and then we don't have the right code to understand what they are trying to say, or they just don't want to say it like that. So we still have to hunt for, other other way to know what someone is trying to say outside of words. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Phil, that it's really important to read into the eyes, but we also have to know how to, because it can lead also to, we mentioned it before, miscommunication, because I thought I saw this in your eyes, but maybe I was wrong, or
Right.
maybe how you say this, it was a projection of my own feeling
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
thought I was seeing in you.
Maybe very possible. So, Phil, what are some of the wrong things people can read in your eyes? And is it gender specific? Is it cultural specific? What are some of the wrong things they could read?
Oh yeah, one thing is, I don't know if that's just me, but when someone is like discussing, they prefer us to look to them while they're discussing just to make sure they're listening to us. But for me, I prefer writing down thoughts and things, but I'm still listening. So that could be a misconception for me. I'm still listening to you.
Oh,
I'm just like writing down your thoughts so I can go back to it anytime. But for some people, or for most of them, if you're not looking into their eyes, they will think of you are not listening to them.
right.
So,
So true. So true. Where do you, Alicia, what do you take notes on, let's say in a work meeting? Is it also on pen and paper?
I do take a lot of notes.
I know, I think you told me that before, but it's
Yeah.
on pen and paper, right?
Yes, I'm
So,
old traditional.
right. So like Phil
Very
is
old.
saying, you're going to take your eyes off of the pen, off of the person, and you're going to go down to your pen and paper. And I think, Phil, you did something similar.
yep, I write down things because when you write those things, it's more that you can remember those things.
Right. And so as you took your eyes off of the person and they can't read you to tell if you're actually listening, it looks like you're not paying attention, so you're taking notes. I know for myself, one time I was on my phone and I take notes on my phone. Right. I have a lot of notes app and everything is on my phone. And so taking notes, a person thought I was in that meeting just playing with my phone and couldn't care less. And it was not true. And I guess I was just not only not looking up with my eyes,
Mhm.
or speaking with my eyes, I was also acting like I'm distracted with my phone. There, culturally and maybe gender-wise, there are a lot of a lot of stories we tell with our eyes, but people tend to read a lot of eyes wrong. In HR, for example, I always bring HR up with Alicia for some reason. She always reminds me of an HR rep. And they're gonna keep us in line. You're disciplined. They use a term called elevator eyes. Have you guys ever heard of elevator eyes?
No, never.
No, I haven't heard that.
Alicia is saying no. Everyone is saying no. Elevator eyes is a way of speaking with your eyes where the other gender was kind of looking you up and down. The elevators go up and down. So HR call it elevator eyes. And as they look you up and down with their eyes, no words are transmitted. So they're speaking with their eyes. They're either scoping you out or either looking up at you or looking down at you. And if it's a male who is checking you out, you don't like elevator eyes because he's looking everywhere where you wish he wouldn't look, except in your eyes, right? Or she is looking at him, or she is looking at her, and whatever relationships are going on or trying to be established, we have these elevator eyes. So I really would very interested in you guys' opinion of what would you perceive if you had an HR conversation, training, reminders about elevator eyes? What do you think about that? Well, how would it
Elevator.
impact you in a work environment, for example?
For that, for me, I will really feel intimidated and will ask myself, yeah, why the HR is looking to me like that, the elevator eyes. So yeah, most of my emotion would be like just intimidated.
Okay, Alicia, you're nodding yes.
Yes, I agree. I would ask myself, why is something wrong with my outfit or with my shoes? I don't know my hairstyle.
Uh-huh.
I would question myself. Yeah.
And I know because of you guys' maturity, I bring it up because elevator eyes are also considered when a guy is checking you out or a girl is checking out a guy or any human relationships are checking each other out. And so they're looking at you in a way that they use a phrase with your eyes. The person is stripping you or being indignified with their eyes. And so they're doing communication with their eyes by what they'll say, taking off your clothes with their eyes, or looking at you in such a way it's like provocatively. It's like, wait a minute, why are you looking at me like that? We're either at work or in church or in a social setting, and they shouldn't be talking, right, or communicating with their eyes in such an aggressive way. So you can see how you can feel intimidated, but there's another word we use, feel uncomfortable at those moments.
Especially if you are not attracted to this person.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. If you're not attracted to that person, don't look at me that way, right?
It would be tricky, but if I'm interested too, it would be kind of flirting. It's the start of the flirt. But if I'm not interested, I would be like, oh, what is he trying to do? Or it's creepy or something like that. It really depends on how you perceive the person yourself, how you will react to the same action.
And in Phil, as Kabayan, right? It's another culture.
Yep.
We're from the Western culture. In Philippines, how do people perceive that type of communication with their eyes? Where Alicia brought up the F word, the flirting word, that's very eye subjective. Tell me.
Right. If someone is looking to you like elevator eyes, for us, it would feel like they admire you or they find something interesting. That's why they do like elevator eyes. So that's for me, curiosity and admiration.
Okay, curiosity and admiration. And what would be again, because we're talking about adults communicating now, and some environments it's quite okay, some work environments it's not. But what are they communicating, you think, mostly when when you experience that? What do you think they're communicating?
They want to ask something because I listened to some of your episodes. You mentioned like for Westerners they're very straightforward, but for us Kabayans or Filipinos, I would say most of us are not very straightforward. They just want to look at you, and if they don't want to ask it straightforwardly, they will wait for the right time when sometimes there's no right time. You just have to ask it right away.
Right. And Alicia, you? Am I correct in the Westerners?
I think it's interesting to have another culture with us because, of course, the same action can be perceived differently in a different culture. So that's good to know because I live now in the Philippines. So I have to understand, oh, even though in France, for example, it would be this, it would mean this, but here it's not the same. So adapt myself to the different situation and context.
Right. Because if you're looking at a French guy with your eyes not saying much, but really admiring him, or initially just staring him down to check him out to make sure what he's up to, he might read it wrong and think that you're really interested in him and he might be free to approach. And if you, Alicia, from a Western culture, starts looking at a Filipino guy, he may wonder, who is this? What does she want? And is she going to rob me? Is that what you think they will say, Phil?
Not for me, but I think if let's say Alicia is just looking at me, I would think of she want to ask something. Most of the time, I would say might be she want to ask for directions because always, I'm gonna say this again, for most of Filipino, they are very hospitable. That's what we are known for. So we are always giving the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, and that's nice,
Yeah.
really, really nice to give the benefit of the doubt and to help someone if they look like they need help. But in Philippines social settings, how do guys or the other gender speak with their eyes, you think?
They speak with their eyes by like looking straight, or they will, let's say you just want to stare, yeah, giving the stare.
But what
So
are they
that's
trying
how
to
they.
say? What are they trying to say? Why are they staring, for example? They want to know who you are, what you're doing. They want your phone number. What are they really doing with the communicating with their eyes?
Yep, if they're communicating with eyes, like if they stare at you, they like you. I'm gonna say that because they keep on looking at you, and could be most of the reason is that they like you, they want to ask you out.
Okay, but do they come and ask you out after a while? Or, I mean, Alicia, you're nodding yes, because we know the Western culture guys, they're looking at you. And if you didn't want to look anymore, you keep resisting or ignoring the person, they know you're not interested. But when you kept looking, they will come and get that phone number
That's the
and show
technique.
interest. So
Yeah.
so Phil, in Philippines, they do want your number also, and they'll ask you, but you say they're not so straightforward. I mean, how do you get the message from the eyes that that's what they want?
Right. Like let's say you are in a restaurant, exchange of eye contact is that their way of telling that I like this person, and probably after that they will still not like, could be, might be the girl should be the one to initiate that, because they already know that the guy is looking, eye contact, and a lot of eye contact exchange, so could be the girl will be initiating like, hey, I think you are keep on looking at me, do you want to say something? So yeah.
Well, I mean, Alicia, you're nodding yes, but in our Western culture, the girls don't initiate the
No,
action
and
afterwards,
yeah,
right?
absolutely not, never. But I think it's a good thing. Also, it reminds me of this app, a dating app. What's the name where you both match, but
Uh-huh.
only the
Oh,
girl is allowed to text the guy. And
is
I
that
think it's
Bumble?
yes, and I think
Okay.
it's a good concept because as a woman, even when especially when you are good looking, it can be overwhelming to be approached by too much men.
Right.
So being the one to decide who you will approach is is wow, excellent.
Okay. So
If
I'm
they can just
hearing,
stay away and you decide if you want to move on with trying to getting to know this person, I feel like it's powerful for the woman instead of uh anyone coming to you and you
right,
don't have
right, right.
a choice.
So I mean, I could see that in a dating app, but in a social setting or across the seat from Jollibees or something, you're saying, "Gosh, you kept looking at me," and the guy is communicating with his eyes. You're saying, Phil, that he likes you, and he wants to talk to you. Um, do you think for most of the times you get it right, or are there times you get it wrong?
Most, I'll say for like 100%, I'll get it 60% right, 40% wrong most of the time. Because there are still like creeps who are out there just looking at you, so you just want to confront them what are they looking at. So yeah.
Okay, so in the Filipino culture, regardless, you're not sure, you just will confront them what they're looking at?
Yep.
Oh,
You just
very
want to confront
interesting.
them.
Very
Yeah.
interesting. I think, and Alicia, correct me, in the Western culture, I don't think we confront people if we're not sure, do we?
No, not really. Not from my experience.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I want
yeah.
to ask you, Phil. So is it more, are the women here more straightforward than men? Are the men more shy or how is it?
Yep. Most of men here are nonchalant. Most women are more aggressive. They want to ask straightforward, especially with this generation.
Oh, wow, wow. This is interesting to share because I was thinking a lot of these topics are going to include generational differences. And why we bring up the topics, because speak with your eyes in many cultural terms. I'm born in 1962, long, long, long time ago. And so culturally speaking, we don't do certain things, and especially with your eyes. Um, besides, people think I do a lot of things with my eyes. I don't. But I know there was a few skits on social media where it makes it look like the person is looking at you, but they were looking beyond you. So my curiosity sometimes are these false flags. Can you, as we're doing this adult communication and we think the person's communicating with their eyes, what would be some of the false flags? I mean, that that you have run into when you went over and asked the guy, or when you want to double check what they're doing? What did we find? The person had an irritation in their eye. The person was not really seeing you, or they were blind.
I would say you have to ask, but is it necessary to ask all the time? I don't think so. So if you are interested in this person, you feel like it's a good match, then you go ask. But if it's not important for you, then actually I think you don't over question it, and you just like, oh, he's staring at me, or she's staring at me, and that's it. But talking about the generational, it reminds me of, as a Caribbean, yeah, I still grow up with this, where the parents or the older people would perceive as unpolite or rude to stare in the eyes of the eldest. And it's generationally speaking, the older have this power with their eyes, where they are allowed to look at you in the eyes, but you are not. So you have to look down. So it's also maybe dominance through the eyes.
Yes. And Phil?
Yep, I think I saw that skit, like some lady is like waving, and then that person like thinks that the lady is coming at him, so he is about to hug him, but there is someone at the back, so that's a false flag for like looking. And I agree so much with Alicia, like if you are not if you don't find importance by asking, it's not necessarily like always asking, why are you looking at me? You can ask if you feel really intimidated or something that will keep bothering you before you sleep at night. So you can ask, but if you don't find that really important, you can just let go of that. Might be they're just curious about you.
And granted, if you have to go to work every day and the same person is staring at you a certain way every day, you should confront them to tell them, stop that, because you're not comfortable and you're not interested in them socially because you came there to work. Right. And so that's where, again, I keep mentioning HR, and this is not an HR show, but it comes up because these are places where it's confronted that when you're uncomfortable, you can't have what's called create a hostile environment. And without words at all, our eyes alone could create environments that are not comfortable. And there's an old saying we used, and maybe in the Caribbean, I'm from the islands in the Caribbean too, and they will say, if looks can kill. And you've heard that term, right? And so whether it was another female at work who doesn't like you because they're being competitive for the promotion, and then they would keep looking at you this way. So, they're communicating a lot with their eyes, aren't they? If looks can kill.
Right.
And if it's, if you're doing something right, if you dressed fancy that day, you would get a message from a few people, if looks can kill. And they're really communicating with their eyes. They're speaking with their eyes without the words. And yes, they could make you feel very special, or they could make you feel very non-special, intimidated. Anyone, especially when we communicate with our eyes. And I'm sure some of you may have experienced some of that in one way or another. But I mean, like, without belaboring the point, I think it's really, really awesome and amazing. And we kind of covered it well, because today we were going over this, speak with our eyes in adult communication. And there's positives to it, there's negative to it. Some cultures take action and go see if that person is interested in them or in something they're related to. And some of us to walk away from it. And like Alicia said, if she's interested and like the person, or the person is really cute, she's definitely going to check it out what's the what the communication is all about.
Actually, though, and this is why I thought it was funny that Filipinos are not, that Westerners are more straightforward, but I would still not take the step and go talk to the person, even though my communication style is to be direct. I would never, no.
Right. And those are cultural differences. And me being an older man, I would not either. If a lady's looking at me, I would not go over and say, hey, you're looking at me. Are you up to something? Are you interested in me? Because it could also say whether or not you're interested in them, because it's a presumptuous behavior. And so as a mature person, I would not do that. I would leave that alone and go about my day. But if it's in a work environment and the person has taken issue with me with their eyes, I may have to say, hey, have I offended you? Please forgive me. And if they wouldn't speak to me, then I would have to probably get HR involved to make sure that we are on even terms, because both persons need to have a friendly, happy environment at work every day. Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you all so much for going over this topic. And I think we covered it well. And today's, again, topic was speak with your eyes. It's amazing. And we hope everyone could like remind us, send us their examples, comment in our Facebook, comment in our TikTok page, comment in our Instagram and our YouTube page, and wherever Free Talk with Mr. B is being hosted. So thank you so much again. Phil, it's so nice to meet you. We will hope to have you on again. And this is wonderful. Alicia, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would love to do this again, and I'm learning a lot from this free talk.
It's our pleasure. It's a hobby, and we do this hobby and just unscripted. It's free, and we speak as comfortable and as freely and as a family show as we do. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.